since I'm on a roll already and I'm already recording, and I was like, let me just do another video. So one of the reasons why I also started YouTube is because I had an awakening. Now I know you hear this a lot, like, oh, I've had an epiphany, I've had an awakening and all that stuff, but this awakening was an awakening, right? So it all started last year. So I've always been kind of, I keep myself to myself. I don't like put myself out there, if that makes sense. It's not really my scene. It's not really something that I do, like to go out and like wanting to be known and whatnot. It's not really my thing. I just keep myself to myself. I just go to work and, you know, I look after my daughter and, you know, just the typical things. So obviously I'm a human being, I'm a woman, and I get lonely, and I decided, oh, let me just join a dating site and let's see what's out there, right? So with me, I'm very realistic with my expectations. Like I look at the dating pool is quite massive, and then you have to have certain qualities, etc., in order to like widen your dating pool. So obviously, as a single mom, I've already made that pool smaller, and you know, as a chubby girl, I've again made that smaller. But it doesn't mean that I'm not in the running in the dating pool. It just means that my circle just gets smaller, which is fine. It's normal. It's not something that I say or do to put myself down or anything. If anything, I'm very realistic. So I'm aware of these things, and you know, I'm pretty honest. It's not like I have any unrealistic expectations from anybody. We're all trying, you know, we're all trying very hard. So I met somebody last year around May, and this guy was persistent. And I was like, okay. So I remember in the past, like, I think in my first video, I said something about how I feel inside doesn't reflect on the outside. I feel like sometimes the attitude that I have or the views that I have on certain things, guys will find that a bit weird. Like, why is this fat bitch have all these standards? Do you know what I mean? But it's not everybody that says that. But like I said, sometimes I don't reflect. It doesn't reflect on the outside. So I've always been firm in like keeping to my standards and stuff. But I thought to myself, do you know what? Maybe I need to broaden my expectations, and I need to be a bit more loose, as in chill and relax a little bit more, and be, you know, adapting and give other people a chance. Because that's probably why I haven't been in a relationship, because I feel like I'm holding on to something or somebody who fits what I feel like inside, not outside. So I said, okay, that's fine. So I met this guy and I went on a date, and the red flags were red. Like, they were red, but I thought, let me not be shallow or let me not be too judgmental. Let me just give it a go and see how it goes. So obviously I don't want to go into detail about the date or say anything that can be like, you know, embarrassing for the person. So I thought to myself, let me go on this date. And then I went on the date, and at the end of the date, I had fun. I had not been out in a while. Like I said, I don't go out quite a lot. So it was fun, kind of like to go out and to let loose and stuff. And then I was like, okay. And I went home and I thought about it, and I realized this person's not my type, and I don't think we were the right fit. I felt like I had to, what's it called? Adapt too many things for this person. So I thought like I'm gonna end up just losing myself, and I wasn't willing to do that. So I ended up texting the person, and I said, I'm not really interested in this relationship. I don't think we're quite a good fit. And he was persistent to a point where like he just wouldn't stop messaging me again, which is already a red flag in itself. But I don't know. I don't know. I just thought I had a moment of weakness, I guess, and I just thought, let me just try. And because in that particular time in my life I was quite lonely, and I said, okay, cool. He's like, okay, let me take you out, you know, all these things. I'm like, okay. And then he takes me out, and you know, this time we have a good time. He bought me some flowers and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, nice. And then he's like, just give me a chance, you know, I'll be there for you, blah blah blah. And then I said, okay, that's fine. So we had quite a quick romance. Like it was quite quick, and I quickly fell for him, and I was quite open and all that stuff. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a go. I'm gonna ignore like whatever my mind is telling me and stuff. Otherwise, I'll never be with anybody. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. And then I had an implant at this time, and it was expiring in June. So I thought, okay, cool, let me make an appointment to get this implant removed. Now, on my profile date, I had already mentioned that I do not want any kids anymore. I don't want any more kids. And I don't want to get married. It's got nothing to do with, oh my God, look at her, independent woman. She doesn't want no man. Of course not. It's just, I felt like I'm only meant to be the mum of one. I don't feel like I'll be able to cope with other kids, even if I did have support. So the way that I work is, I feel like in my vulnerable state, when I need somebody or when I need help or support, if I don't get that support and I end up supporting myself and I end up licking my own wounds, I feel like after that I don't need anyone else. And then I kind of adapt. It goes into my head like I can do this on my own. So when I had my daughter, and with me and my daughter, I've been through a lot ever since she was born and stuff, and it just wasn't in me to have another child. I have never yearned or yearned for another child. And in terms of marriage, I just wanted someone to be with. I struggle to live with somebody, simply because I'm so used to being on my own. I'm so independent, and it's not something that I would I wanted to at the time. And marriage just seemed very final for me, and I wanted someone who we can be lifelong partners without the stress or commitment of being in a relationship, like being married, sorry. So those were the things that I'd already highlighted on my profile. This person said, yeah, absolutely fine. Don't want kids either. And then I said, okay, cool, bonus and stuff like that. So time is going by and stuff like that, and then I get my implant removed around July, and then I get my period in August. And then during this time, like, he's at my house all the time at this point. He's just pushing and pushing. So at this point, this person is actively living with me now. It wasn't an agreement or anything like that. It's just like, oh, I can't stay away from him. To be honest, at the time, I couldn't stay away from him either. So it was kind of like, okay. And I would say to him, why don't you go for the week and then come on the weekend, since we're both free on the weekends. And then it just, like, I don't know, like, it just got sucked in. Like, when, like, like a character that's just got, like, ignored or forgotten. That's just how I felt at the time. But I wasn't looking at it, I wasn't seeing it, if that makes sense. So I was like, okay. So days, next thing, little things, he's moving in little things into my property. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm not saying anything, I'm not thinking about it. Like, obviously the way I'm thinking now, it's very difficult to tell the story, because as I'm talking about it out loud, I'm thinking to my mind, Charlotte, what the fuck, do you know what I mean? But at the time, I didn't say anything, like, I wasn't, and then, like, we've been together now for like 3 months, and then he's like, oh, let's just move in and save money, and then I'll save money on my property where I'm leaving, and then I might as well just give you the half of it. And then I was like, it's a bit too soon, and I don't know. And then he's just like, come on, babe, what's there to lose? We know what we want and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I kind of like didn't say anything, and then we just kind of like forgot about it. Time went by, and then I finished my period in August now, and then whatever, I'm moving on with my life. And then during this time, a lot of other red flags started coming up. So I started seeing a lot of like behavioral differences in him. Like, when he's upset, like, it was like a whole different person, and I would always confront him about it. And then he'll always apologize and say, oh, I'm sorry, when I'm stressed out, that's how I'm like. And I'm missing out quite a few details in this, simply because it's, I don't know, it's I don't want to say it's not my place to say, but I also don't. It's like it's just not my place to say it at this time. But he was hiding something from me that I wasn't aware of, but I had suspicions of. And I should have went on those suspicions. I should have went on those suspicions, but I didn't. Anyway, so what ended up happening was he ended up moving in, and I just gave in. I said, okay, cool, whatever. And we're arguing. I'm seeing him talking to other women. He's talking to like older women in America, and I'm thinking, what? And he explains to me. He tried to talk to me like it's normal, like it's nothing. Like, oh, this isn't the kind of thing that we do. I'm thinking, no, and there's other few people that he's talking to and stuff, and he's telling me that, oh, you better want this because I've let go of so many people and stuff. And I'm thinking, what the fuck do you mean? Like, let go of people. But I didn't say anything. I felt like okay. I felt nice, felt lucky. And then we've just been having issues, and then I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, shit. At this point, we're fucking arguing. I told him to go home. I told him it's over and stuff like that, and I had a sense of relief when I told him it's over. But then I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, oh my god. And then obviously I told him, and then we got back together, but things were not the same anymore. It just wasn't the same. I just didn't feel the same way. I still loved him, but it wasn't like the way I loved him at the beginning. Everything was just so messy and so quickly. And then so everything's going okay, I guess. And bear in mind, all this time we're not doing anything together as a couple. We're not going out. He's not buying me flowers, nothing. Like, I'm like, okay. But don't get me wrong, like if I did say I wanted something, he would get it for me. Obviously with my pregnancy, it was very tough. I was throwing up and I was not eating that much. I was only craving like fruits, so he would get me fruits and my favorite things all the time if I asked him to, which is fine. And then my friend said to me, I need to talk to you. And I said, oh, what's up? What's going on? Spill the tea. And then she's like, can I call you? And I said, yeah, of course. At this point, I'm thinking something's wrong with her. I'm thinking, girl, are you okay? And then she's like, I saw your partner on a dating site and he liked my picture. At this point, obviously, I know he knows what she looks like. I think he was just liking anybody, anything with a skirt, he was just liking. And I confront him about it. And then he's like, no, I didn't do it. I'm thinking, it's right here. And what's worse is on the dating app, it shows if you're active or not. So at the time that she took the screenshot, he was active and it said he was active. He is denying this right in my face. Right in my face. I'm like, okay. What do I do? And then I'm like, I can't do this. And to me, it's like I was looking for a smoking gun. I was looking for anything because something in my spirit was not settled about this guy. There was just something that wasn't settled. And I told him to leave. And he goes to my daughter and he's like, oh, help me beg your mom. And I said, that's like, do not do that. I'm already disappointed in myself anyway that I've allowed this person to move into my home when I actually with my daughter, and I'm fiercely protective over her. So like I was just disappointed that I had that weak moment where I was so desperate for love, and I was, it's embarrassing even saying it, to be honest with you. I feel really weak, but it is what it is. It happens. I was so desperate for love and also desperate for my daughter to have somebody, a dad. So obviously they had a very good relationship. They got along very well. He was very good with her. Like, they understood each other so well. In terms of Kaylee, my daughter is very like, she's talkative. Oh my god! And he would just sit there and listen, and and things like that. And so they had a decent relationship, which is also what made me stay a bit longer, because I was thinking, oh my god, like Kaylee will not be happy. I would say too, obviously, I think I mentioned in my intro video that me and her have like deep chats. Like we have sessions, almost like therapy sessions, where I ask her, what she likes, what she doesn't like about me, what, what's going on in her life that's bothering her, etc. And then she'll tell me. And she was just like, she's really happy at the moment. She's happy for me that I found somebody, and she's also happy that that somebody is good with her. I'm like, So I stay. And that we go to like a reassurance scan, everything's fine, blah blah blah. And at this point I just don't like him. My pregnancy did not like him at all. Just him breathing, him being around me, my spirit was fighting a war. Like my body was fighting a war at this point. And that's when I just said I can't do this relationship anymore. And I told him, and I said I can't do this relationship anymore. And then he told me that if I leave him, he will kill himself. And then I said, oh my God, I'm gonna have to call the police, the ambulance to come and help you, because I can't have this on my head, love, you know? So what's your location? Send me your location right now, and the paramedics will be with you. Because at this point I'm waking up, and it gets worse. I sleep again, like, but that's for part 2.